Good day everyone, and welcome to another Stream Talks. This time I'm drawing Turing from Read Only Memories, which I have never played, but it was a Patreon request, so I'm doing it anyway. This was requested by TikTok over on my Patreon. And of course, since I brought it up, I have to plug it. If you like my art and don't mind not safe for work, you should give my Patreon a glance. It's linked in the description. Anyway, animation, YouTube, that's what the topic of the day is. This is honestly something that it does a pretty good job of killing my mood regularly because it's kind of depressing to think about. For those of you who know me, my main job is working in SFS animation as the head animator. So most of my living comes from making animations and posting them to YouTube. This is very high risk. YouTube pays based on how many minutes watched your videos have, not based on how many views your video receives or how long people spend relatively on your videos. And this sucks for animators because animation takes a long time. Usually cartoons in SFS take 3 weeks on the low end and 15 weeks on the high end, depending on complexity. Some of our animations have taken as long as 6 months, and if those animations don't wind up taking off, then that winds up being a huge loss in time. Usually on YouTube, people tend to watch animations most of the way through, if not all the way through, but even then it might only be 2 to 3 minutes long while being 2 months of work. Meanwhile, a Let's Play or a vlog can produce much more content in a shorter period of time because their format's easier. Yeah, this is all kind of obvious information. Let me break it down though, because this is where it kind of gets a little bit interesting and as well disconcerting. Let's talk about just a single view on 2 different videos. One is a 3-minute animation that is watched all the way through, and the other is a 10-minute long vlog that is watched about 50% of the way through on average. For that single view, the animation, which was watched all the way through, winds up actually earning less than the vlog, which was watched 50% of the way through. And what's worse, that 3-minute animation may have taken as long as a month or 2 to make, whereas the vlog could probably be done within an hour. I probably look incredibly salty right now, but I kind of am a bit salty. It's not really a knock against those kinds of formats because I don't really have anything against them, but I just kind of wish that YouTube would be willing to throw animators and high-quality content creators more of a bone. One nice thing about animations, at least, is that they have a little bit easier time getting recurring hits and being watched multiple times, and animations tend to stand out a little bit more, so they have more of a likelihood to kind of explode and suddenly go viral and wind up actually earning something. But you can never bank on that. Alright, now for me to get really salty. Where this kind of gets really shitty, and again, this is not a knock against these formats or anything, because of the way this is all structured, sometimes you'll have people who decide to do analysis and reviews on animations and stuff, and they'll specifically do it on animations on YouTube itself. And I'm totally fine with that, I actually like that kind of stuff. But this is where it gets really bizarre and really infuriating, is that those reviews and analysis and stuff, those can wind up getting more earnings than the animation itself, even with less overall views. And again, that's not a fault of the reviews and stuff. Reviews and analysis often help the animation community as a whole and actually help make those original animations a little bit more viable. But it's a huge sign of the problem when the original seed for all this extra content doesn't receive the same level of support and love from YouTube as the content the seed inspires does. Wow, that was probably really confusingly worded, but I hope that made sense. And then there's places like Facebook. Seriously, fuck Facebook. I'm just gonna say that. There are a shit ton of sites, especially Facebook, and pages on Facebook, that really like to take other people's content and re-upload it, rather than linking it. Sourced or not, which, before I go on, let's be honest, nobody reads the fucking descriptions. It usually leads to lost views for the original animator. Additionally, there's way too many people sitting on the sidelines who are just saying, this doesn't affect me so I don't care. Well, considering how hard it is to make animation nowadays and how hard it is to make a living as an animator, if you do want to see more animations, maybe you should care a little bit about it and speak up, because animating is hard enough without having to deal with these predatory practices. I'd seriously suggest that if you see somebody re-uploading someone else's work, tell the original creator about it, and try to direct people to the original source instead. Also, don't share illegitimate sources, those just suck. Alright, back to YouTube. One big suggestion I've seen that would give animators a little bit more of an edge and a little bit of help would be if YouTube would give a bit more favor to videos with a higher percentage of watch time, rather than just a sheer number of minutes watched. As I mentioned, animation often has a high percentage of watch time, even if it's shorter. So if YouTube could account for both how much is watched in sheer amount, as well as what percentage is watched, that'd probably be a happy middle ground that would wind up making all forms of content more viable. Though, as nice as I thought it is, I can't really see YouTube implementing it because fuck YouTube, honestly. Until then, animators and creators seriously need all the help they can get. And yeah, that kinda seems self-serving and stuff for me to say because I'm an animator myself, but I also want to see other people able to animate and continue to be able to animate. I mean, if you want to help animators out, some of the best things you can do is share their work, like their videos and stuff, or if you want to be more direct about it, become a Patreon supporter if they have a Patreon. Anyway, as far as what I'm working on, I've got commissions and stuff that I'm still working on and stuff. I've also got a animation that I have planned featuring Pivot finally. as Meredith has helped me out and I finally have a voice for her. So hopefully it won't look like I'm ripping off Zone's format too much. One other idea that I had for a small video series, and let's see if this would be interesting at all. I've been thinking of starting up some kind of curator series, where people can send me links to animations that they've made or seen, and I just basically briefly introduce them, give them a bit of a review, just showing off a few mere seconds. The idea would be to drive viewers to these animations, instead of like showcasing them in a stupid compilation video, because fuck those things. And instead of being a review, it'd be more like an overview, just kind of like talking about what it's about really quickly, telling you why you should go watch it. If you guys think this would be a good idea, just tell me and I can maybe look into making it happen. It wouldn't be that hard to produce. And hey, if it winds up helping out other animators and stuff, I'd be more than happy to do it. I'm also planning on my next stream talks being a little bit more tutorial-like, so if you guys want me to cover any specific topics or talk about something specific in regards to drawing, post ideas below, and the more specific you can get, the better. Anyway, that wraps up this stream talks. If you want to see some other stuff I've animated or made, or see the previous stream talks, you can check here. Otherwise, thanks for listening and watching, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you next time.